If your pruning shears are slipping, crushing your stems instead of cutting them, or your hand is aching halfway through a single rose bush, the problem usually isn't you, it's the tool. I went through 8 of the most trusted garden shears on the market, from budget bypass pruners to Swiss-engineered classics, and ranked them worst to best. Number 1 is the pair professionals reach for again and again, and it might not be the one you'd expect. Let's get into it. Number 8. Corona ClassicCUT BP 3180D Forged Bypass Hand Pruner. Next up is the Corona ClassicCUT BP 3180D, a forged bypass pruner with a full 1-inch cutting capacity, which already puts it in a different league than the Fiskars we just covered. The blade and hook are hand-matched during manufacturing, which Corona says helps ensure a closer, more precise cut, and the blade itself is made from what Corona calls max forged steel, a compacted forging process intended to hold an edge longer. It measures 8 3/4 inches long, with non-slip grip handles, and it's built with a self-cleaning sap groove to keep debris from gumming up the pivot. The catch here is size and hand fit. Corona designs this model for larger hands specifically, so if you've got a smaller grip, this pruner is going to feel bulky, and the handle spread may not close comfortably over a full pruning session. It's also a heavier tool than something like the Fiskars soft grip, so while it can handle bigger material, it's not the pruner you want for hours of light deadheading. As a workhorse for actual branch cutting, the ClassicCUT earns its reputation. A full 1-inch capacity means you can tackle real woody growth on shrubs and small trees without the blade struggling, and the forged steel construction is built to survive years of outdoor use and repeated sharpening. If you've got a larger hand and a yard with real branches to manage rather than just flower beds, this is a legitimately durable option that punches above its price point. Number 7. Fiskars Bypass Pruning Shears, 5/8-inch classic model. At number 8 is Fiskars Original Bypass Pruning Shears, the 5/8-inch cut capacity classic model that's been a garden center staple for years. This one features a fully hardened, precision-ground steel blade with a rust-resistant, low-friction coating, plus a self-cleaning sap groove that keeps the blades from sticking together during long sessions. It also includes a safety lock that keeps the blade closed during storage or transport, which matters more than people think once you're tossing tools into a bag or bucket. The honest downside is the same one we saw with the soft grip version. 5/8-inch capacity is light-duty territory. This is not a pruner built for thick stems or woody branches, and pushing it past that limit is a fast way to bend the mechanism or dull the blade prematurely. It's also a fairly basic model without the ergonomic extras you'll find further up this list, like rolling handles or gear multiplied leverage. What makes this one worth including is reliability at an accessible price point. It's an uncomplicated, dependable bypass pruner that does exactly what it's built for: clean cuts on stems and small branches, without any bells and whistles to worry about. For a lot of home gardeners tending flower beds, herb gardens, and light shrubs, that simplicity is actually the selling point. It's the pruner you don't have to think about. Number 6. Gardena Anvil Pruning Shears, 23mm cut capacity. Coming in at number 7 is the Gardena Anvil Pruning Shears, and this is the first Anvil-style pruner on our list rather than a bypass design. The distinction matters. Instead of 2 blades sliding past each other like scissors, an Anvil pruner has a single sharpened blade that closes down onto a flat surface. Gardena's version has a 23mm, or about 0.91-inch cutting diameter, and it's specifically built for older, woody twigs and branches rather than live, green growth. The ergonomic handle includes soft touch components designed to reduce wrist stress, and the precision ground blade carries a non-slip coating for cleaner cuts. The catch with any Anvil pruner, including this one, is that it's the wrong tool for live plant material. Because the blade crushes down onto the Anvil surface rather than slicing past it, using this on green living stems can bruise or crush the tissue instead of making a clean cut, which can actually harm plant health. This is a tool with a specific job, not an all-purpose pruner. Used correctly, though, this is genuinely useful. For cutting back dead wood, thick dried-out stems, or woody growth that a bypass blade would struggle to bite into cleanly, the Anvil design gives you more direct cutting force with less effort. If your garden work involves a lot of deadheading old, hardened growth rather than shaping live plants, this earns a spot in your toolkit specifically for that job. Just don't reach for it on your rose bush. Before we get into the top 6, I want to flag something. The next entry completely changes how much size matters when you're picking shears. And 2 entries from now, we're getting into pruners with actual mechanical gear technology that multiplies your grip strength. If your hands get tired after 10 minutes of pruning, you're going to want to stick around for that. Number 5. Felco F6 High-Performance One-Hand Pruner. At number 6 is the Felco F6, a Swiss-made bypass pruner built specifically as the compact option in Felco's lineup. It has a 0.8-inch cutting capacity, measures roughly 7.7 inches long, and weighs about 7.5 ounces, which is notably lighter than most of the pruners we've covered so far. The blade is hardened steel with a screw-mounted Anvil blade for easy replacement down the line, and it includes both a wire-cutting notch and a sap groove to keep the mechanism from gumming up. Here's the trade-off. That smaller, lighter build comes at the cost of raw capacity. At 0.8 inches, the F6 sits in the middle of the pack, well below the full 1 inch you get from something like the Felco F2 or the Corona ClassicCUT. If you're regularly cutting thicker branches, this isn't the model built for that job, and pushing it past its rated capacity risks damaging the blade. Where the F6 shines is fit and control. Felco designed this specifically for people who find their standard pruners too big or too heavy. Smaller hands, florists, or anyone doing detailed repetitive cutting on grapevines, shrubs, and young trees. The shorter blades also mean you can get closer to the plant's stem for a tighter, cleaner cut. If comfort over a long session matters more to you than raw cutting power, this is a serious contender, and it carries Felco's reputation for fully replaceable, sharpenable parts that let the tool last for years. Number 4. Haus and Garten ClassicPRO Titanium Bypass Pruning Shears. At number 4 is the Haus and Garten ClassicPRO, an 8.5-inch bypass pruner built with a high-carbon steel blade that has a titanium coating. It's rated to cut branches up to 1 inch thick, and the handles are constructed from anodized aluminum, paired with cushioned grips and shock-absorbing pads specifically designed to reduce hand fatigue and wrist strain. The titanium coating on the blade is intended to cut down on friction and resist rust and corrosion over time. The honest catch here is that this is a newer brand without the multi-decade track record of a Felco or a Corona. That doesn't mean the build quality is lacking. The specs and materials are genuinely comparable to established competitors, but you're trusting a newer manufacturer's long-term durability claims rather than decades of field-proven use. If brand longevity and resale reputation matter to you, that's worth weighing. What pushes this one up the list is how deliberately it's built for comfort. The company specifically markets this pruner toward people who deal with hand fatigue, smaller hands, seniors, or arthritis, and the combination of a titanium-coated blade with real shock-absorbing padding on the grips reflects that. For a 1-inch cut capacity pruner at this comfort level, it's a strong pick if long pruning sessions typically leave your hands sore by the end. Number 3. Corona ClassicCUT Forged Bypass Hand Pruner, 3/4 inch ATH. At number 3 is a second Corona pruner, but a distinctly different model from the one we covered earlier. This is the ClassicCUT Forged Bypass Hand Pruner in the 3/4 inch cut capacity version. It's built with the same fully forged steel construction and non-slip vinyl grip as the larger BP 3180D, but sized down to a 3/4 inch capacity, making it a more manageable, lighter weight option for people who don't need the full 1 inch of cutting power. The catch is one of naming, not quality. Corona sells multiple ClassicCUT variants under very similar names with different cut capacities, so if you go looking for this one, you need to specifically confirm you're getting the 3/4 inch version and not the 1 inch BP 3180D we already covered. They're easy to mix up at a glance, and the cutting capacity difference matters depending on what you're pruning. Once you've got the right variant, this is a genuinely well-built pruner. The forged steel construction gives it the same durability reputation Corona is known for, just in a lighter, slightly more compact package that's easier to manage for extended pruning sessions. For general shrub and stem maintenance where you don't need to push past 3/4 inch, it's a dependable, no-frills choice that costs less than the flagship Felco and Okatsune models further up this list. We're down to the final 2, and this is where things get serious. These last 2 picks are the pruners that professional landscapers and arborists actually reach for day after day, and the difference between them comes down to raw power versus decades-proven precision. Number 2. Fiskars Power Gear 2 Bypass Pruning Shears. At number 2 is the Fiskars Power Gear 2, And this is where mechanical engineering really starts to separate the pack. It has a 3/4 inch cut capacity, but the standout feature is Fiskars' patented gear and cam mechanism, which is engineered to multiply your cutting leverage specifically through the middle of the cut, the point where a branch is thickest and hardest to get through. The blade is fully hardened bypass-style steel with Fiskars Ultrablade coating for edge retention, and the handle uses what Fiskars calls a contoured, rolling design that moves with your grip rather than staying rigid. The trade-off is capacity versus power. At 3/4 inch, this pruner tops out below the full 1 inch you'll get from the Felco F2 or Corona ClassicCUT. So if you're regularly working with thicker branches, you'll hit its ceiling faster. The mechanical gearing also adds a bit of bulk and moving parts compared to a simpler fixed pivot design, which is a small trade for the extra leverage you're getting. Here's the thing that makes this one worth almost the top spot. That gear technology genuinely changes how much effort a cut takes. For anyone with hand fatigue, arthritis, or who's just doing a lot of pruning in one sitting, the leverage multiplication is a real, tangible difference you'll feel by your 20th cut, not just marketing language. It's an outstanding choice for high-volume pruning, where your hand strength is the limiting factor rather than the branch thickness. Number 1. Felco F2 Classic Manual Hand Pruner. Taking the top spot is the Felco F2, the pruner that served as the industry benchmark since 1948, and is still the one most professional gardeners and arborists default to. It has a full 1-inch cutting capacity, forged aluminum alloy handles measuring 8.25 inches, and a hardened steel blade with a wire-cutting notch. The Anvil blade includes a sap groove, and every part, down to the spring, bolt, and blade, is replaceable, backed by a lifetime guarantee on the tool itself. If there's a catch, it's that the F2 is built specifically for medium to large hands and right-handed use, so it won't fit everyone the way a specialty model like the Felco F6 might. It's also priced above most of the pruners on this list, and it doesn't have the leverage-multiplying gear tech of the Power Gear 2 we just covered, relying instead on straightforward mechanical design. What earns this the number 1 spot is total reliability and repairability. Nearly 8 decades of continuous production means every part of this pruner has been refined and is still available today. When a blade dulls or a spring wears out, you replace that single component rather than buying a new tool. Combined with a full 1-inch capacity and construction that's genuinely built to outlast most gardens it's used in, this is the pruner you buy once and hand down. If you only want to own one pair of garden shears for the next 20 years, this is it. So here's how I'd break this down by what you actually need. If you're working with small hands or doing detailed, repetitive cuts, look at the Felco F6 or the Fiskars Soft Grip. If hand fatigue or arthritis is your main issue, the Fiskars Power Gear 2 or the Haus and Garten ClassicPRO are built around comfort and reduced effort. If you're dealing mostly with dead, woody growth rather than live stems, the Gardena Anvil is the specialized tool for that job. And if you want one dependable pruner that will genuinely last decades and can be fully repaired instead of replaced, the Felco F2 is the one to buy. All the links to every pruner on this list are down in the description, numbered to match this countdown. If this helped you find the right pair of shears for your garden, drop a like and subscribe for more honest gear breakdowns before your next trip to the garden center.